0, 1. Let's get started.
Hello, my lovely babes. Welcome back to our Butt Babes podcast. We just want to say thank you so much for your continued love and support. We really, really do appreciate it so, so much. And yeah, welcome back to another episode.
Welcome.
How are you doing, boys?
I'm alright, friend. I'm a bit tired, but nothing new there.
I think it's become like a standard where tired is a norm.
And I don't want to normalize it, hey? I really don't want to normalize it. But I'm tired. But I think it's because, things are going, and it's also that time of the year, silly
Yes.
season, and all
It's
that
what
stuff.
season?
Silly season.
Oh, silly season. That
Silly season.
Yes, that's true.
But yeah, outside of that, I'm very grateful, very blessed, and yeah,
I'm
I'm
with
okay.
you on that.
And you?
I'm with you with the blessed how everything is going,
Yeah.
grateful for every opportunity, agreed on the fact that I'm exhausted,
Yeah.
I'm tired, like for sure,
Mm.
but we carry on.
We move.
We move, we
Gotta
carry
move.
on. But actually, I wanted to speak to you today about a little pet peeve.
Okay.
Actually, when you listen to it, you're probably gonna be like, you're so sensitive. Like, what's wrong with you?
Shells, you never know. Let's see. And I genuinely don't know what she's about to.
There's a few scenarios,
Oh,
right?
okay.
Like this hasn't happened once. It hasn't happened once. It's happened quite a few times, but not like consecutively. Like here and there, someone brings it up, and I'm like, excuse me?
Sorry, what?
What did you just say to me?
Yeah.
But one of, let's say an acquaintance, right?
Yeah.
Said to me, you're actually really good at your job. And I'm like, what do you mean actually? Like, and it's like those like small little phrases that I find a little bit like offensive. And I'm like, I've worked really hard to be where I'm at. And like for someone who I consider like as a friend, I would just naturally assume you have faith in me. Like, like I got here because
I'm good at what I do.
yeah. So it's like those, when someone says like, oh, you're actually so good at this, or actually, wow. I'm like,
yeah.
I remember growing up, here's scenario number 2.
Yeah.
Growing up, someone literally said to me, you're actually such a nice person. Like when I first met you, I was a bit like skeptical. I was a bit, like keep a distance kind of a thing. But then once I like spoke to you, I realized you're actually a really nice person. And I'm like, who created this actually word and put such a meaning behind it? Because I'm offended.
Very much so. And I'm sure, friend, I'm sure you get that like ever so often.
Ever so, okay. Sure.
Hear me out. I think purely just from a sense of like you're a person that just doesn't just let anyone in. It's not even about letting anyone in, but like a demeanor perspective, like that serious aura, serious face and whatever the case may be. So people are like, don't know how to like approach or, don't know how to like start conversations or whatever the case may be. And then once they do, they're like, oh my word, what an epic person type of a thing. Don't you think maybe it comes from that? But I mean, it doesn't take away the fact that on how it lands when you hear it. When someone going, oh my word, you're actually a very nice person. Like, okay, so what did you think I was before? And what was it based on?
But it's those small phrases, I feel like, and the context of it that makes me like second guess myself, where I'm like, am I not portraying myself the way I think I am?
Yeah.
Because like obviously I know I'm good. I know I'm a good person. I know I'm polite when I need to be. I know I'm good at my job, because I think I can't be in a certain workspace if I don't have those qualifications. If I, so I mean, okay, I know I'm not perfect. I know there are moments like I feel like, yeesh, this is really out of my like scope of practice. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. But majority of the time I'm quite confident like with what I'm doing.
For sure.
And then to hear like someone say that, and it's always like people that are actually close to you and like they mean something to you. Like if it was a complete stranger
You
and they
would get
said it,
it, right?
I'll be like, fine, you don't know me, that's okay. But if you're a friend of mine,
Oh
and we're
no,
not being
then
spiteful, we're not being like jokey, you know, when I like say to you,
yeah,
you're
yeah,
this
yeah,
person, blah,
yeah,
blah.
yeah, yeah.
Like, this person was genuine. They were like, actually, you're really smart. You're really good at what you do. And I'm like,
I would be touched.
actually, you know what? It's a few jabs to the heart, but it's okay.
No.
Mama built some tough skin here. So,
No, I think I definitely hear you there. Like, especially if it's like like you said, an acquaintance or a friend,
yeah,
and then they come through, especially because I mean we've been doing the work that we do for quite a while, you
yeah.
know. I don't know, maybe my perception there is a little bit different in the sense that not that I'm kind of used to hearing that from people, but I've also realized like there's a lot of people that I spend a lot of time and stuff with that don't actually know what it is that I do. They just
Mm,
know that I studied this particular thing and that I do private practice. Then I'm like, no, not really. I do if I need to and if there's a
mm,
need, but there's so many other things that I do. So
yeah.
sometimes then they'll find me like at a workshop or at a seminar and I'm a guest speaker,
Mm,
whatever the case is, and they're going, oh my word, you're actually, and I'm like, this is what I've been doing. And this is also what
exactly.
I've been saying, but clearly you haven't been
Picked up.
interested
Mm,
or been interested or invested or
true.
really wanting to know what else I do.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, welcome to the party, but I definitely know
You've
what
been doing this.
yeah. So I hear you in terms of being touched to be like, but dude, I mean,
In a way, like there are moments where like I step back and I'm like, oh my gosh, that actually offended me.
mm,
But like once I've processed everything,
mm.
I do take it like a different point of view where I'm like, it's good I'm underestimated. Like, underestimate me. Like,
It's
don't,
nice, nah?
yeah, and let me catch you off guard. Let me just surprise you once in a while,
I
you
like that,
know?
and I think it's a conversation that we were like briefly almost having before we actually started, rolling the cameras. Where I'm like, before I used to be super like touched, because again, you spend a lot of time with a lot of people that you would think like you'd think that they'd match the energies of you being invested in their industries and their careers and what they do,
Right.
and them almost matching that energy to be like, oh my word, so wow, like you're quite great, at the driving range or in playing tennis,
Mm,
outside of maybe the work that you do and like whatever other interests and whatever not, but yeah, a lot of people aren't, and then they'll underestimate you, or there'll be opportunities where they'll like, refer or plug other people where you're going, but I'm right here. I could actually really assist and help people in that
mm,
regard, or I do that on the side or for fun, and I'm really quite good at it.
yeah,
Why didn't you consider me? But it is that like underdog, like kind of energy and vibe. And for me, I think my satisfaction always comes through when things do become a success. Like when this
yeah,
podcast becomes quite a success and it grows, and that's me speaking it into life, so once then you kind of blow up, then you get people going, oh my word, yeah, this and that and the other. And you're going, dude, I've been doing this for like months and you didn't show
mm,
any interest. You didn't ask questions. You've been hearing
yeah,
people talk about it, but now that, the who's or, people now like
yeah,
seeing you, now
yeah,
you like want to be like, oh, what's this all about? Underdog vibes. I personally also prefer just being an underdog. I know I was chatting to T Dog about it, and she's like, nah, you shouldn't get too comfortable in being an underdog. I'm like, I don't mind. In vernacular we call it gonyatswa, like lenyatso. So nyats me. I'm just like, oh no, nyats me, it's fine. But I know that when I arrive, I do what I need to do, and I'm confident, I'm great at what I do. No one's perfect or whatever, but I also love what I do.
yeah.
So less pressure, literally
I
less pressure,
agree.
and you get to flourish, beyond
Mm.
people's expectations at the end of the day. So I feel you there.
I think it's just good to just invest in yourself and not worry too much about other people. I feel, and I think it's something I constantly work on because the industry it's I'm in it because I'm a people's pleaser. So
Mm.
at the back of my head, I'm always like, oh my gosh, I need to make this person happy, or I want this
To
person to
feel
like
better.
me, feel better, whatever the case may be. But sometimes it actually doesn't matter. It's
Mm.
more the fact that are you happy with yourself? Are
Mm.
you happy with what you're producing to other people? And I think if
Mm.
I focus more on that, like I think I will be less offended by like these small comments and all of that.
It is annoying
It
though.
is it is annoying.
It's
Like
like the
don't get me wrong, it's annoying.
have you ever gotten the oh, you speak so well, or like, oh my word, like, you know, are you South African? Like, I can't quite place your accent. That time I'm like, I'm from like a small dorpy in the East Rand, the east of Johannesburg. Um, it's not even private school English, honestly. It's not. So I'm just kind of like, in the beginning, I was just like, I wasn't too sure how to feel about it. I'm like, so
Mm,
how am I really supposed to sound?
sound.
Like, I don't know, is there like a status quo? So I'm sure you get that quite a
I
bit, friend.
do. I do.
And even people from our own ethnicities and
Mm.
cultures and stuff like that. I don't know. Do you often get it sometimes in the Asian community and outside of that?
I think a plus side is the fact that I was obviously born here.
Yeah,
So
proudly South African.
very, very, very. And obviously I can speak proper English. My grammar's not always the best, but
Not a mother
I
tongue.
can get by,
Mm.
And when people speak to me, they're very shocked, right? They hear my accent and they immediately are like, um, you sound like you have a South African accent, like,
Get better.
but like, where are you from, And I'm like, no, I was born here and I grew up here, but my family's obviously overseas, like from overseas. And then they're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Oh, that makes sense now. It's just a shocker
Mm.
that my English is
It's so
acceptable,
good.
you know?
There's no underlying like accent.
And I mean, I've said this in the previous episode, like obviously I'm from a small town
Mm.
and if no one knows, the small towns is known for Afrikaans speaking.
Oh, plus we both from like little Dorpies, yeah, we're Dorpy
And
girls.
they speak Afrikaans.
Yeah,
And I'm not saying my Afrikaans is like A level
jy
here.
kan maar Afrikaans praat.
I
Mooi Afrikaans.
can.
Suiwer. Ek weet nie, is dit suiwer Afrikaans of just mooi Afrikaans?
Oh,
I think
it's
I've heard you praat the taal and
but I can, but I'm not like I won't say I'm the best at it.
no.
And when I see like my patients and stuff, and I can hear they're more Afrikaans speaking, they're struggling to speak English, I will try to accommodate and speak Afrikaans to them, right? Shocker for them. They're like, oh, you can speak such beautiful Afrikaans.
Yeah.
You must go tell your mom you speak beautiful Afrikaans. I'm like,
Hi
thanks.
mom, I speak beautiful Afrikaans.
But I know, like, they're being
Right?
nice. They're being nice. They're just being nice.
I don't think so. Hey, I think they've been very honest because especially like, look, you're in environments and you're like, oh, this person is really biting their tongue, hey? And it's
Yeah.
like, can polite do, can we, Adam and Eve
Yeah,
it and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
And then you're like, listen, bro, instead of just like biting your tongue, we can meet each other halfway. Which I really
Yes.
wish that there was a bit more of that in the South African context. I feel like I've learned a lot of the languages that I know how to speak from accommodating people.
Mm.
But then you lose touch with your own kind of mother tongue because not a lot of those people then meet you halfway and having to speak
Mm.
your mother tongue.
I agree.
So how many people that are not of color like will go out of their way to just learn the basics, you do melangs.
Yes.
I know you
Mm.
do your greetings and things like that.
I know the words I need to know for my work.
Yeah.
Like say now, sit down, bend your leg. Like I know it, but I think, we have different languages in this country, and I'm not going to lie, I mix them up. Because in the Western Cape, they speak a different language. In the Northern Cape, they speak a different language.
Mm.
Gauteng speaks a whole,
It's a melting
you
pot.
know. And then I started like mixing a bit because then I was like, but actually, this is not. But they all look at me like, okay, let's do
Yeah,
it. And I'm like, you know what, you're a real sport. Like, thanks for like, not like bringing me down. You're
yeah,
still there, like, oh, she's trying. Like,
yeah,
it's okay. And they do it.
yeah.
They shocked. Like, I think they do a double take where they're like,
To
wait,
be like,
what did
eh?
you just say?
Did you say goba?
Yes.
You
And then
know?
they'll be
Like,
like, okay,
okay.
okay.
I think for me, and I remember I went camping, I think it was in high school with a friend of mine, her family, and we were at Butblas. And I remember there was this family that I'm assuming that had adopted this little Asian boy. So super, super cute. But he was fluent in Setswana, like
Yeah.
fluent, as in like, I'm like, okay, he literally grew up in a family where they speak Setswana, and then he was like just chatting with us, and I was chatting with his family, and like, so obviously like everyone's just
It's a
like
double
doing double
take.
takes,
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm actually not even sure, but I doubt it's the same kid that's on TikTok, because there's also a kid from Botswana that actually trains quite a bit on TikTok. Well, I haven't, you guys, I visit that platform once in a while, really.
Mm.
But I'm sure the people from Botswana know exactly which kid I'm talking about. And I think his family own a store in Botswana. So, I mean, he grew up around Tswana people. He was born
Yeah.
and bred probably there. And
So
like
he picked up the language and speaks. Yeah.
fluent. So like they often do like videos, like him and I think one of the store managers or whatever not would like do videos and things
Oh,
like that. And it's
sweet.
just like, I'm like, for me, that kind of makes sense. Look, and please, whoever's watching, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know what your opinion is, but in 2024, I honestly feel like, especially from a millennial onwards perspective, so our generations downwards, I'm like, guys, two languages nyana,
Mm,
maybe outside of English and Afrikaans, you know what I mean? Where you learn like one or two African languages, even if you know it as like as good as our Afrikaans is, maybe
mm.
our Afrikaans is at a
Like just
60%,
enough to get
just
by.
enough,
Like conversational, maybe. Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
just enough to, when you're sitting with someone that's not as well
Fluent.
spoken or
Mm,
fluent in English or in Afrikaans, where you're able to, when they throw in those words, you're able to kind of, make sense of it. Like
mm,
there's one of my friends, my childhood friends, she's pretty much quite well versed in vernac, but I don't know if it's because she also comes from a mixed heritage.
mm.
Her dad is from Europe, like Eastern European, if I'm not mistaken, and the mom is Afrikaans from their side. So maybe that also made her more susceptible or open to learning and picking up easier
Mm,
new languages. But then there's also one of our childhood guy friends, I won't mention his name, but because we call him Spopovich. But I mean, Spopovich, we could all chill and like we'd mix vernac here and there, and he'd be laughing with us at the end of the day because
yeah.
he can pick up. So he might not be
Yeah.
able to respond, but he can pick up.
Yeah,
So I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah.
in this day and age, really now we have to be like, yo. And even when we chilling,
Mm,
there's phrases and stuff like that where you know exactly what it means, and you understand, like
yeah.
we're within in
Yes.
that regard. So I don't know, like, don't you feel like in 2024 we really should be at least doing a bit better in terms of that?
I but this was in junior school for me. I remembered, I guess you had your English subject, you had your Afrikaans subject, but we also had Setswana as
As a,
added on.
yeah.
Yeah. Um, I don't know if they still do that now, because like
Mm,
when I went to high school, that was not a thing.
mm,
Like you didn't. And now that I'm working and I get to meet like high school students and all of that stuff, like all the languages from what I can hear, maybe it's also the particular community I'm in currently right now, just a
mm-hmm,
disclaimer, but they're all learning like say now French
mm.
or German, like they're not learning an African native South
Language,
African language,
100%.
and we hear, but I know with these kids, like they say to me, their plan is not to stay here, their plan is to go overseas and blah blah. So I think that is why they're choosing to do other languages instead of a South African language. But again, it's a choice, you know.
For sure, for sure. I think it's also one that would aid a lot of people when it also comes to environments and things like that. And I think it's something that people don't think about. You know, think about it if you're fresh from varsity, or even fresh from high school and you're wanting to go into a particular industry, and the mere fact that you even know one or two other South African languages, you'll be put in the forefront, you know. Um, with some of the opportunities that I've gotten, you know, it's not only the fact that, oh my word, she speaks English so well, or say that Afrikaans, or great Afrikaans, or whatever the case is, but it's a matter of the fact that I can speak Vernac as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you're able to be like, oh, great. So we do need someone that's going to do this, this, and this, but we need you to understand Isindebele or Isxhosa or whatever the case may be. You know, you don't have to be super fluent in it, but
You know
you
something.
know something, whatever not. So, and going overseas, and that's the thing, because then when you do go overseas, you find people that pride themselves in knowing at least a couple of the languages within their own countries. But we don't do that with regards to us. So when they come here and they're like, oh, Michelle, teach me, like, teach me something in an
Yeah.
African language. And you're going,
I actually
ish,
don't
I
know.
actually don't know. Oh, were you born here? You're not born and bred, proudly South African. Oh, not even one, like, you know, type of a thing. And shame. Look, I mean, like I said, there's been like one or two friends that have also been adamant in learning my mother tongue. One of them being a childhood. And I know he wanted us to do like a podcast around that like years ago, you know, where again his journey and just learning the language. And for me, it was just that enthusiasm. I'm still kind of bummed that we haven't started on that project, but it's one that I know is very close to his heart. And I'm like, yeah, it's as simple as that. And now we're living in the day and age of like, we were born in the day and age, essentially, or grew up in the day and age of like the internet and stuff. So we have access. There's apps now.
Yeah.
You know, when we were in
Also
Thailand,
to help you with pronunciation
pronunciation
and
and stuff.
yeah.
You know, when we were traveling beginning of the year and we were in Thailand, like that app just made some like life so much easier. And you're like, oh, how do you say this? And then you listen to it and then you know, you go around
Yes.
Zanzibar, Mauritius. You know, even in Mauritius, it's a lot of
I
as
know.
Michelle would say.
But they all sounded like that.
That's
Like
true.
literally when we were there, I was like, why does I know they obviously speak like French.
Mm.
Um,
And then
but
they say Creole. I don't know if
yeah,
Creole,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
Creole. Mm.
But I was like, but everyone just sounds like hon hon hon. Like,
Yeah.
and it just reminded me, I don't know, you know, like the Disney movies, Ariel
Yes.
and the chef that's trying to kill Sebastian.
Yes. Yes.
And I was like, they giving me this guy's
The
accent.
vibes.
Like, that's why I was like, ho ho ho. Like, look at
Yes,
this
like
boy. Exact.
what do you say in English? Like,
But as much as I joke about it,
mm,
they sounded beautiful.
yeah.
I feel like when we were in Mauritius, I think we did stop for a second, just like in awe,
Mm.
listening to our tour guide speaking to the other like French tourists, and
Yeah.
we were just like, wow, you know.
Yeah.
And then he turns like, and then the South Africans, and
Yes.
then we're like,
Yes. And then he'll incorporate some phrases from South Africa.
yeah,
You know
which
what I
was
mean?
very homey.
Very, very lovely. You know, it's
Yeah.
like, oh, how do you guys say? And that's why I'm saying, like, imagine here we are touring the world and we don't leave them with something from South Africa, you know, whether it be you know, whatever. And he said, oh, you're me. If my friends watch the film, yeah. But anyway, you know, like just phrases or whatever the case is, so it was nice because then, you know, that's like the connectedness.
Exactly. I don't even
Again,
know how it got to this.
I could have came now with the phrases and you speak so well.
Oh, right.
What's
Yeah.
another common one that you'd say that you kind of get quite often from a pet peeve perspective? Would it be from like your own community or just like South Africans as a whole or
I think when I was younger, I used to be a little bit offended when like people thought I was mixed race because of how I spoke.
ah
So like they see, because I obviously was born in a small town,
yeah,
but I also grew up in a big town
yeah.
for my teens, right? And in this particular big town, they have a lot of mixed race,
Yeah, yeah.
like mixed babies,
Mm.
especially with Asian peeps.
Mm.
So
So your Malays and stuff.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
you have like a bit of the Asian eyes, but you have like the very tan skin.
Mm.
And now bear in mind, like as a kid and as a student, you're out in the sun playing sport and blah blah. So I was very tanned.
Mm.
Whereas compared to now, I'm very much indoors. I'm very pale. Like
Mm.
I'm basically transparent, but I love it. It's fine. But when people saw me and they would hear how I speak, they'll be like, "Oh, like you must be mixed race because like which parent of yours is the mixed race? Like, because
Yeah.
you're obviously Asian, but what else are you mixed with?" And I was
Mm.
like, "No, no, no,
Full on.
pure blood here."
Mm.
Full on. No mix here, no mix there. As much as I want to,
Mm.
because I do think they are beautiful.
Absolutely.
But I was like, not in this family,
Mm.
right? Like, stop selling me dreams that I can't attain right now. Like, just stop. So I was
Mm.
very offended by that. But I think now, because I'm pale, everyone's just like, yeah, no, you're Asian.
No,
Like,
she's proper Asian.
you're proper Asian. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so then, yeah, I think that for me then also just speaks to not being able to kind of be placed. I always found that very weird. Wherever I'd go, I think even now, like people just can't place me to be like, are you give me Cape Town vibes?
Yeah,
Are
yeah.
you mixed? Are
Mm.
you Xhosa? Are you, and I'm like,
But
what would you like me to
sometimes,
be?
yeah, I feel like, do you want to be categorized? Do you know what I mean? Like,
Don't have to, yeah.
I think growing up for the longest time, I've always wanted to feel like I belong to a certain community or
Mm,
group or
mm,
whatever. So say now, growing up, it's like I want to relate to South Africans because I'm born here.
yeah.
But then I'm also like, but I also want to relate to the Asian people because that's my heritage,
Yeah.
that's my roots. Um, but then because I grew up here, I feel like I'm an in-betweener. I'm not South African enough
Enough.
to kind of be with the community, but I'm also not Asian enough to be with that community. So I'm
Mm,
kind of in like the middle. And I think growing up it was hard because you're trying to you're figuring out your life, right?
100%.
But then I kind of just accepted the fact that people will accept me for being an in-betweener. You
Yeah.
know, people will appreciate me, people will still love and care for me, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Like, don't place me anywhere. This is who I am. And yeah.
Yeah, man, I think you're very right in terms of just being boxed and all those types of things. And I think growing up from a very diverse heritage, like from a genetic
Mm,
diverse heritage,
mm,
but also community wise, being exposed to different cultures and
mm,
ethnicities and families and things like that. I think that's why it makes like Heritage Month quite awesome in that regard because I think even in the work that we do, there's so much
mm.
knowledge that now I have because I grew up having a very mixed, group of friends,
Yeah.
till today, where you're
Oh,
like,
it's
oh no, you
nice.
know these things and whatever
Yeah.
not. Conversation as well, how you learn, how you grow,
Yeah.
and then you become the reflection of the diversity that you want to exist in and that you do
Exactly.
exist in actually.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
And I genuinely feel like that's the beauty of South Africa
Mm,
is that we do have a rainbow nation and
yeah.
we are so proud of it. And I feel like we are the most welcoming community, which is very nice because I feel
Mm.
like you go overseas and you do find
Eef.
cliques. You do
Yeah.
find, they don't want to mix with you.
No.
But
Some are fascinated. They were like, can I touch
oh
your
yeah,
hair?
oh
I
my
had a
gosh,
few.
yes,
So maybe, yeah, maybe we need to be just a bit more aware, guys. I don't know. I think intent is always the important thing. What is the intention?
yes, I agree.
But yeah, let's just be aware of the actually. I think it's okay to just be like, what, Michelle, you're really good at what you do.
Hmm.
Not you're actually really good
Yeah,
at what.
I think it's just about how you phrase
Mm,
like how you say it also, um, and the tone you're saying it in, like it plays a huge role. But yeah, I agree with you. I think we should all be a little bit more mindful. We should be like more polite and respectful for other people. But we've spoken a lot in this podcast.
Yes.
And before we go on and on, we do need to cut it.
Yeah.
But it was lovely having this chat with
Yeah.
you.
Shout out to bringing that up. Like I didn't see that one coming.
We'll catch you in the next episode.
Awesome.
Bye.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment. Please, let's hear your comments, guys. Anything else that you'd like to hear us chop up and really talk about?
Yeah.
And we appreciate all the love that you guys have been showing.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.